Hey guys, just Miguel here, just with another episode of I Must Ask You a Question. We have Raelee here, just telling us about South Sea Islander history. So just tell us a bit about yourself.
So my name's Raelee, I'm 21, I'm a 5th generation Australian South Sea Islander and I'm studying a Bachelor of Education.
Yeah, so can you dive into the history? Like, what have you learnt?
Yeah, so my mum's just always taught me everything about our history. So from 1863 to about the early 1900s, South Sea Islanders were being kidnapped from their countries, from their homes, to come work in Australia in the Queensland sugarcane fields. They kidnapped about 62,000 in total, all orchestrated by this guy named Robert Towns, who's actually the founder of Townsville. And yeah, they were just brought here to clear the land manually, so no bulldozers or anything that you would normally use, just man labor basically. And yeah, then cut the sugarcane once it started to grow, and they just worked until they dropped, and wherever they dropped is where they were buried in the sugarcane. Yeah.
Unreal, eh? So I think I've learnt it from you, watching like your Instagram videos and stuff like that, but I think the terminology is blackbirding. Can you dive into that?
That was a term that was actually created by, the Australian government. I'm not really sure, I guess that's just what they called it, but it just means kidnapping. So these ships would pull into the islands. My family comes from Vanuatu, so that's what I'll talk about mostly. So they'd pull into these islands in Vanuatu, and the people in the villages and stuff would see them and they'd think, oh, these people want to trade with us, or what do they want? So they'd go out with all of their goods like coconuts and stuff like that, ready to trade, and they'd be in their little canoes, and the people in the ships would drop heavy rocks or whatever into the middle of the canoe so it would break, and they'd just be drowning and have no choice but to get on the ship. And once they were on the ship, they would be thrown into the lower decks and then taken to Australia. They wouldn't see sunlight for weeks. They'd take mainly children and like young teenagers from the age of like 10 to 16, some adults, but yeah, mainly young boys and young girls. Yeah.
Crazy stuff then. So if your mum didn't tell you about this stuff, would you have learnt this yourself?
I'd hope so. I'd hope that, I would have come across it somewhere, but I definitely wouldn't have learnt it in school. Yeah, it's just not in the curriculum. I mean, it is, but it's an optional subject. So I think teachers already have enough subjects that they need to cover in classes, so they just, why would they do something that's optional? It should be mandatory, I think, in schools. It's a big part of our sugarcane, or our Queensland sugarcane industry, our history.
Yeah, history in general.
Yeah. It's been said that without these South Sea Islander people coming to work here for slavery, paid £6 a year, we wouldn't have the sugarcane industry that we do today.
Do you reckon there's a reason why they're suppressing this, or?
Yeah, I think it's just, the government's probably ashamed of it. They're just trying to hide it. I have no idea why it's just not taught, which is really sad. Yeah.
Do most South Sea Islanders, are they aware of this, or?
Yeah, I think most of us are aware, because we all get taught from our parents and our grandparents. Everyone just sort of makes sure that their kids and grandchildren are all aware of where they come from, what their history is. Yeah.
So can you actually go back through your timeline? Do they tell you about that, or is there a point where it's sort of cut off because of what happened, or?
Yeah, there's a point where it gets cut off. It's usually, I know a fair bit about my grandfather's side, but not that much about my nan's side. It's just not recorded, which is sad. And then so my great-great-grandfather was the one who was kidnapped and brought here, but past him, I have no idea, what their names were or what went on. A lot of their names were changed by their masters, their owners, when they came to Australia. So, yeah, even just the spelling, it's changed to a more, I guess, English white friendly spelling, and yeah.
Crazy. So now that we're sort of creating dialogue or figuring out things, like what would you like to see pushing forward? Or if people see this, what would you want them to get out of it?
Recognition would be amazing. Like, just for people to know who South Sea Islanders are, where they come from. Like, growing up, people ask you like, oh, what are you? And I say South Sea Islander, and they're like, what's that? And I have to like give them the whole geography and history lesson, which I don't mind doing because it's just not taught in schools, but it'd be great if I didn't have to. Yeah.
Because you weren't classified as something as well, like as in South Sea Islanders. So tell us about that.
So until 1994, 1994 was when we got federal recognition. So I'm not sure why state doesn't come with federal, but in 1994 we were classed as, a distinct cultural group. We weren't lumped into the other category. And then 2001 is when we got Queensland state recognition. Before that we were just lumped into the other category. My great-grandfather owned land in Joscalee, which is just around the Keppel Sands area. It's a little South Sea Islander community, and he owned land there, and he wanted to turn it into a school for all the South Sea Islander kids because they couldn't go to the white schools. But he wasn't allowed to because he was alien. That's literally what the government called them, was alien. And so he wanted to gift this land to the government so it would just be theirs and they could make this school. So there's a school available. But again, because he was alien, he couldn't give the government a gift. So he had to sell it, and he sold it for 20 cents. It was about 2 acres of land for 20 cents. It's just crazy.
Weird to even hear that stuff because they obviously knew what they were doing. And
I mean, I've seen the documents and it literally says like from alien, which is just weird on a government document. Like,
and all he wanted to do is obviously help people, and sort of got the lower end of the stick because of it as well, just because he wanted to do that. So so have you listened to many documentaries or seen stuff that sort of helped you come across this stuff?
So last year there was an exhibition in the Queensland State Library of South Sea Islander history, and there was heaps of different artifacts in there, which was really interesting to see. There was actually that document from my great-grandfather, and it had his signature on it, which was just an X because he couldn't read or write. He wasn't educated, and that's really sad. And there's also a really good documentary on YouTube. It's called Sugar Slaves. It goes for about an hour. So I'd really recommend everyone to go and watch it. Just grab a snack, and it's great.
Did they tell you a lot about the stuff that we're talking about now?
And they explain it probably a lot better than I can, and it's amazing. They go back to Vanuatu and take some of our elders back over, and they meet their family, and
well, at least like it's inspiring, especially you being a young person being able to find out all this kind of stuff. So especially people that are watching and all that kind of stuff, is there anything that you would say to them for that are nearly in the same position as you that you'd want to tell them or anything?
Just keep on educating yourselves and like keep researching and reading, because I'm still learning new stuff all the time about this. Like, there's just so much that we don't know, and it's really sad that it's not in schools. So hopefully one day it's mandatory and we get taught. Well,
hopefully people that are watching this, they get something out of this, because even hearing a little bit about this is just crazy. Like, it's mind-boggling that we're not getting taught it, or the only way I stumbled across the stuff was because of you. So that in itself is crazy, that I have to go on Instagram and figure out all this kind of stuff instead of being taught firsthand, especially if it's in our home here. It's crazy.
Also, I just wanted to mention, they were only allowed to work for a maximum of 3 years here. So after that 3 years was up, the masters or the owners had to pay to send them back to their islands, but they rarely were sent back to the correct islands. So they'd go back, say someone from Ambrym Island might be sent back to Tanna, and Ambrym and Tanna might be warring with each other. So this person from Ambrym would step onto the island and be instantly killed because they're trespassing. Or say the ship that was taking them home was supposed to take 3 weeks for a round trip. They'd come back way too early, like within 1 week, which means obviously they've been dumped in the middle of the ocean. They just didn't care where they went, what happened to them, which, yeah.
Everything's so sad, eh?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous to think that this has all happened within like, about 100 years ago, which isn't really that long ago, really. And we just don't know. We're not taught. It's just hidden.
Very suppressed. So I think with people, so we can push forward, and the only way to go forward is by looking back. Like, I hope people that even watch this or do their own research, because I hope they do this as well, like, you know, listen to what you say, but obviously inspire them to be able to do their own research to figure out details that they could tell us, or like, you know, we're all learning, like, this is crazy stuff for me. But it's really good to be able to push forward is to understand the past, you know, figure out all this kind of stuff.
Education is key for everything. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. To understand why, you know, with everything going on right now with, you know, the riots and all that kind of stuff, like, there's definitely a reason behind it. And for people to push forward, I hope they do understand and listen to things, just so we all get along a little bit better. So
yeah, just understanding, educating yourself just helps everything. Like, yeah, get along so much better when you can understand somebody. Yeah.
So if someone was to watch this and wanted to research somewhere, is there any things that you would recommend for them?
Definitely that documentary, The Sugar Slaves. Check out I Am South Sea on Instagram. They just post a lot of educational, even like art from South Sea Islanders around the country. Yeah, there's just heaps of stuff out there. Yeah, you just got to look for it. Yeah.
So hopefully people that do watch this video, hopefully you guys get inspired and do your own research. Thanks so much for coming through and letting us know, because just to hear this is crazy. It's very, very mind-boggling, and it's a shame that I did have to listen to this by stumbling across your video and then having this. But, you know, now that we've got a platform, it's good to get the word out and stuff. But thanks everyone for listening. We'll drop another video next week. But yeah, thanks so much for joining me as well.
Thank you.
Cool. Awesome.